So now let's look at a different example here. All right. So the large square, again, is the 100%. It's the whole amount. So what percentage of this large square is shaded? So here we've got this square. It's divided into 4 pieces, and 3 of these pieces are shaded, right? So therefore, 3 of the 4 squares are shaded. So what we want to do is we want to just write it as a fraction. And we're keeping it simple at the beginning because really percentages are very, very basic, okay? So we write this as a fraction. There are 4 available, right? There are 4 available pieces. So this is the total available number, and this is how many we're talking about, right? So 3 of 4. So really that means what? 3 divided by 4, 75, 0.75, right? 0.75. So 0.75 is 75%. And we don't need to be a math genius to understand this. If we look at this picture, right, we can see very clearly that 75% of this is shaded. But how do we figure out percentages when it comes to numbers that don't have an equal number of pieces that are the whole? So look at this example here. Here we've got 7 equal pieces, okay? Pieces that are equal in size, I guess. And this represents 100%, or the total amount of available pieces. So what percentage of the whole is the shaded part? So we have 3 of 7 squares are shaded. So it's 3 divided by 7, right? 3 of 7. Well, what's the percentage? Well, as we've learned, when it comes to percentages, we simply divide 3 divided by 7, and we get a decimal, right? Remember what we learned a few slides ago, that 0.01 is 1%. 0.10 is 10%. So if 0.10 is 10%, then 0.40 is 40%. And then the 3 is, it falls in the ones column, right? So we have 0.43 or 43%. So right away, what you can tell is when we get into percentages, if you look at any decimal number, whether it's decimal 5, decimal 67, decimal 23, whatever wherever the decimal is, the numbers following it immediately are is the percentage, right? So in this case, it's 43%. If it said 0.82, it'd be 82%. 0.04 would be 4%, right? So if 0.01 is equal to 1%, 0.05 equals 5%, 0.1 is 10%, 0.55 is 55%, and 0.99 is 99%, right? So very easy to understand. But, you know, another way that we can look at percentage is by simply understanding how to move the decimal in the fraction. So we learn different ways, right? So if 1 over 100 is equal to 0.01 over 1, which we know it is, right? We already learned that. Remember, we just learned that 1% is equal to 0.01, right? So that means that the 100 has to be equal to 1. This is the whole. So it's one whole number, right? But what we can do if we're trying to figure out percentage by just looking at the fraction, look at where the decimal is. If it's 1 of 100, it's 0.01 of 1. We can simply just move the decimal. In this case, if we look, we take the decimal place, move it 1 position, and now we get this fraction. If we move it only 1 decimal, so the numerator, we move the decimal 1 place, denominator, we move it 1 place, and now it looks like this. 0.1 over 10, right? And if we go one more time, if we move the decimal that 2nd place, we get 1 point over 100 point. This just means where the decimal is placed. But look at what we started with. 1/100th is equal to 1 over 100, right? So if you, very quickly, if you can remember that whatever this number is here, whatever the percentage is here, it's based off of where the decimal is, right? So if you can remember 1% is read as 0.01, then you can very quickly figure out what the value or what the percentage of this number is. So 1/100th, you can quickly find out that that's 1% of 100%. Let's look at another example here for a sec. So what about 0.025? What would this equal as a percent? So what we can do is we can take this 0.025 and write it over a 1. So in our last slide, we took a single number, we took 1 and wrote it over 100, right? And we understand that's 1%. But now we have a 0.025. Well, how do we know what this is as a percent? Well, it's the same as before, right? If you take that decimal and you move it 0.25 over 10, right? Because here it's 0.025 written over 1. We move the decimal one place, we move it one place here. This should say 0.25 over 10. And then if we move it one more place, so it's 2.5 over 100. Well, we know that we're trying to figure out percentages, right? So now we're at 100%. So what is the value of 2.5, right? So the 2.5 is 2.5%. Let's do this with a second example. If we take 0.375 and we want to learn what this is as a percent. So we can go through the motions again, right? We can take the 0.375, we can write it over top of the 1. If we move the decimal one place to 3.75, it should be written over a 10. If we move it a second time, it's 37.5 written over 100. So what we learn here is that 0.375 is equal to 37.5%. Well, this is how it works, but if we just simply go up to the decimal, right, our decimal fraction, and move the decimal 2 places to the right, we get the percentage, 37.5%.